Your Excellency, could you please tell us a bit more on the partnerships, excellence, and initiatives that you are in charge for when it's come to quality programs?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, and I like the fact that you brought your crowd to salute you with us.
I feel
so,
honored.
yeah, so we're in good company.
Yes.
This title is a new one. The Minister of Planning and Economic Development wanted that with giving me Assistant Minister for Strategic Partnerships, Excellence, and Initiatives. So I think the title in itself explains itself. It's an idea how we can, it has excellence in it. It shows therefore the direction of the state, that excellence is an important part of the culture, etc. But also talks about initiatives to be able to implement all this, and strategic partnerships, because without strategic partnerships, you cannot do anything. Partnerships not only between government and government, within government, but the triangle, the golden triangle of governments, private sector, and civil society. So this is what's behind the rationale, the raison d'etre, if you will, of the title. But today it is be an honor for us to be able, through the questions that you're going to be asked, to shed light on Egypt's Excellence Award Program. That's started since 2019, and so this is one of the major initiatives. Another one is a climate solution, so Smart Green Initiative, which inculcates the whole Egyptian population, 110 million, in an initiative to allow them to present green and smart projects. Then, in addition to other initiatives, but this is grosso modo, just as a way of introduction, a way to say that we, even with the title, we try to emanate or give positive energy and the way that we're going to the future through this umbrella of strategic partnerships, initiatives, and excellence within the title itself.
Thank you, Excellency. You talked about strategic partnerships and initiatives. What initiatives Egypt has developed to promote excellence in public governance? I know that there is a lot, but for you, what are the main ones?
Well, the main one is with cooperation with the Emirates. In 2019, we began the Egyptian Excellence Award Program. And basically, this covers 85 institutions, the 30 ministries in the country, the 28 universities, because 27 national universities plus Al-Azhar University makes them 28, and the 27 governorates. And through that program, we try to put indicators to give awards to either institutional, which is the best service rendering institution, for example, which is the best post office, which is the best registration office, which is the best ID. And the reason why we have, what does it serve? It serves two main objectives. One is citizen-based services. The Egyptian people want to feel that they are getting services at a much easier, faster rate to overcome the bureaucratic hurdles. Instead of waiting 2 hours to get a service, you can get it for 15 minutes. That's the objective. And we have done that in many services. Instead of waiting in line, instead of doing this, then you can do it. So service, which is services addressed to customer satisfaction, people satisfaction. The citizen is at the center. That's number one. Once you do that in many of the governmental services, and when you have a big population like Egypt, 110 million people, therefore you have many services, places, etc., through mobile, and you know what it is. The second objective is to increase the competitiveness of the economy. Once you know that the services for investors, for normal people, takes less time, it's agile, it's competitive, it's digitalized through the transformation, all of these elements, then obviously you have much more competition. Then people would like to come to the economy, come to compete, come to invest. So these are the two legs of the Excellence Award Program. Through going through different universities, so every day we go through judgments through a certain university, which is the best faculty. We have 543 faculties of universities in Egypt. Out of these, 450 enter this Excellence Award Program to see which is the best faculty of medicine in Egypt, which is the best faculty of engineering, which is the best, all of this. This is in universities alone. Then, of course, as I said, in different services. Then we also have awards for individuals. Who is the best employee in Egypt? Who is the best manager in government services in Egypt? Which is the best teamwork? Because obviously teamwork is important. And through going this, we go through, of course, a lot of lists and a lot of evaluations. And so the other day we were there in which is the power of attorneys or services that present registration for flats, etc. in Egypt. And there are about 600 offices. And then we picked one from Alexandria. And as head of the judging committee, I asked them, why? What have you done to become the best excellence? What have you done in excellence? In addition to meeting expectations, setting the vision 2030, being able to realize work. They said we've been able to, as soon as the individual, the person, the citizen, the customer comes in, able to provide all the services in the clear instructions in the services in time and less time to connect him with other services, other things. It's one service, one stop. So these are the things that we want to do. And throughout 6 years, we began 2019. So we had 3 major rounds, but we introduced something besides the national competition of the excellence that every 2 years happens, and we pick which is the best service, which is the best faculty university, which is the best manager. We did something, an internal excellence award. What is an internal excellence award? That instead of competing together, no, in the university itself, within each university, which is the best faculty? So instead of competing in Shams medicine, with Cairo medicine, with Mansoura medicine, no, within Cairo University, which is the best faculty? So 1 year we dedicate to an internal, and this is new, no one has done this. So this brings competition within the university itself, because we want to see, each one wants to provide the best researchers. I am with Stanford, I am with the Shanghai list, I've done these international researches, I've been able to do that in this. And this encourages people, allows them to be ready for the 21st century, to give them the competition, to give them the know-how, to give them the capacity building, and therefore everyone wants to see that you're exposed, you are there, there's transparency, there's inclusion. No one can be left behind, not as a motto, no one is left behind. No, you are there because we are coming to your house. We're coming to train you, whether you like it or not. We're coming in and we're going to see what you're doing, and then we're going to expose you. We're going to say who's the best. But obviously in the reports we send to the Prime Minister, we say who's not so good and who's not and who's bad. And therefore this is a way of putting everyone on the spot. You're going to compete, you're going to be excellent, it's not easy, or you're going to be lagging behind, and therefore you're going to be exposed, and no one wants to be exposed. I took too much of this
No,
question.
it's okay,
going.
it's
لا
okay.
لا
Keep going, Your Excellency.
لا حبيبي لا
I enjoyed it.
لا انت خد بقى الوقت يلا.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Okay, so Mr. Raed, you said like you enjoy it, so now
Oh, yeah, please.
we
Let's-
want your point of view. What is quality for you when it comes to programs, and especially in Qatar?
Great. First of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, salatu wassalamu ala khayril mursaleen. It gives me a great pleasure to be here amongst this esteemed group. But let me take a step back. All great stories start with a woman. And what better woman to... And men too, so please, compadres, don't, thank you so much, thank you. Now, what better woman to actually start with than one's own mother? And my mom the other day, she was calling for a medical appointment. And it took exactly 10 seconds before she started getting frustrated and said, "What is this?" And she hung up. I'm like, "Mom, what were you thinking?" I mean, but to her, quality was respond right away. I need immediate stuff. I don't need your Venn diagrams. And I started explaining to her, there are people, there's an IVR and what have you, and there are call centers. And she said, none of this. I need to speak to a doctor right away. That was her own definition of what quality is. And that kind of places a strain on us in the public sector. Quality could mean gazillion things to tons of people. And you have to actually reason with so many understandings. People of different generations. People who are moved by thank you and please. And people who don't have time even for that and want to actually get things right away. So quality could mean a whole lot, as I said. And in the public sector, if you go to any literature, they tell you about the efficiency, tell you about the effectiveness, the transparency, the equity, the inclusion, and what have you. So for the sake of this conversation, I'd like to restrict or limit what I will be talking about through the eyes of services, government services, and what it entails and what we've done to actually do that. That is one thing. In terms of what have we done, I'd go back to 10 years ago, precisely. In 2014, the government of Qatar started with embedding a quality manual across the public sector. That instigated the launch of the planning, quality, and innovation departments across the board. So we planted the seed. And after so many years of actually just doing the fundamentals, building blocks that we believe are pivotal to the success of any sort of aspiration to quality, did we actually just say, all right, we think we are ready in 2024 to actually go with the award. And so it was a launch of series of interventions that has led to an awarding sort of initiative in 2024. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Hisham, to come back to you, you take us to the journey of the Government Excellence Award in Egypt. Started 6 years ago in 2018. Now we are in 24, sorry, as I said 6 years ago. You mentioned the fact that you start with the government first for the excellence, and then you went to the individuals. So was it for you to set the tone, to show that the individuals, before we ask for you to be excellent, we will be excellent first?
Thank you. The experience, the individual is within the Excellence Award. There are 20 categories.
Okay. Oh.
So it's within the same, they're all governmental. We're beginning something with the private sector this year, gender, and to see which of the private sector companies is doing best in terms of gender and women empowerment. This is a new program for the private sector, not done yet. But the other categories are all within the government. So even the individuals will have institutional prizes, institutional awards, so which is the best institution, but also which are the best individuals within the government. So which is the best teamwork within the government, or within which institution. So this is, within that experience, you learn a couple of things. First of all, that excellence is not a destination, it's a journey.
Exactly.
So it's like learning. No one stops learning. It's a continuous process. And the more you inculcate, so now you've seen this conference talk about artificial intelligence. And there's a lot of things, what to include, what not to include. Then you learn the importance of leadership and of top management. Because without having leadership and commitment at the higher level of government institutions, you will never get that. And so throughout this 6 years experience, it has to be the top management, the minister, the vice ministers, the different pieces in the government have to be convinced and committed to the concept of excellence and have standards clear and targets. What does excellence mean? It's not more than quality, what is going on? If you have that, then there's the commitment that filters down. And this is very important, that experience. Third, it has to be you have to be capacity building, you have to train people. Because, tell them, we want excellence, but they're not trained. So, for example, when we get every other year from the universities, the faculties, we have 450 faculties in universities in Egypt presenting for the award. We take 2 of each faculty to come for a training course, capacity building, awareness. All this is important because you're not going to do that people alone without giving them the food for thought, all of these things. And therefore, and also the fact that you have ambassadors, excellence ambassadors. So the ones who won every year become excellence ambassadors. So I was sitting with the lady, the best employee in Egypt, a group of them. And I thought, what did you do? Yeah, Iman. She said, I was able to get 640 million pounds for my institution. I thought, what do you mean? Your institution was losing money. She said, yes, but through ambassadors, through this and services, I was able to do this. I brought in it wasn't a big institution, 640 million Egyptian pounds. She was able to achieve. Therefore, by putting these shining stars, moderator, you asked direct to your question, by having these excellence ambassadors put in institutions, they won last year, they are there as models for excellence is a constellation. When you have the sun, the objectives, etc., and you have the stars in every institution as a model for others to be able to look at. So you need the vision and the leadership, which is very important. You need the capacity building. You need, of course, the they use innovation and technology as your help, to help you, as a model to be able to go ahead and to be able always to be focused and to review the process. What have you learned? Best practices. We have not done this so good this year. Let's do it more clearer, etc. So I think this is some of the learning. We are still on this destination because life in itself is a journey, and the beauty of the journey is that you enjoy, but you also learn what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and we all head together and we learn from others. So for the Emirates has a certain program, we learn from them. Other countries have a certain program, etc. And when you have a vast country with 110 million people, therefore it's important to be able to also have consistency and to see what all the bureaucracy is going through, what ministries are going through, etc.
Thank you, Excellency, especially for anticipating on my next question, because you talked about capacity building, and that is for human being, for the human resource. And you also mentioned AI. So I wanted to ask to Mr. Raed, according to you, how can we combine AR and in the human resource? For example, for the quality of the public sector, how can we mix the AI in it?
Okay.
Because
right. Yeah, sure.
It's a trending thing. We all talk about AI, so how to?
So, if you've attended some of the sessions as I did, and there's this we are all ecstatic about the prospects of entrenching AI at everything that we do. It has a lot of potential, but if you've attended Dr. Lacan's talk, you'd understand that what we have is an LLM model with limitations. It does not remember, it does not recognize, it does not reason. What we have is a statistical model that is more or less being fed through text, which is a low bandwidth data versus recognition. And he made the comparison with a 4-year-old child that would have been exposed through video, audio, to 10 times what you have in terms of modeling capacity of today's times. I don't know about you, but I just thank my kids whenever they not break anything. That is the quality that I expect out of a 4-year-old. So we need to be very reasonable in terms of the limitation of what the technology entails. How can it empower us in doing what we do without overloading it with prospects and potential? Where does it kick in when it comes to the increasing capabilities or human capabilities? One of the things that I've done over the course of last year is work closely with the Institute of Public Administration, which has the mandate to train across the board and develop the workforce that we have in the public sector in the state of Qatar. So there are 3 things that you would want to know when it comes to skilling the workforce. There's skilling, so you basically are equipping them with applied knowledge. There's reskilling, right? So if you had sort of obsolete jobs or different needs, you want to re-equip people with technical know-hows and knowledge to attain to a different sort of sector. And there's upskilling, whereby you want to take people to the next level of skill sets, leadership, executive management, and what have you. And you need all these 3 components to work hand in hand in order for you to do that. One of the key things that nobody has mentioned till date, I think I can actually coin it right now. I'll be privileged to have you and His Excellency the Ambassador to say this. A lot of people were talking about what AI entails in terms of the AI fellows, the experts, the subject matter experts. Nobody's talking about the downside of it when it comes to the larger context. And what does that mean? Conventionally, and up till date, if you've been a manager, if you've been part of any sort of decision making, there's an evolutionary process as you feel your way to reach a certain decision. Decisions are not just made like that, just a flickering of a finger. It's not. There's a due process. You get exposed, you feel your way. There's option A and B and C, but after hindsight, we thought option B makes sense. You've already been projected to the pros and cons of each. But what about using AI where the answer is almost immediate? Are you equipped with the knowledge to actually just make a decision on spot? What if you had tons of those decisions to make? And if we heard Jensen from NVIDIA, he was talking to us about millions sort of enhancements into the capacity, the computing power. What does that mean to the decision makers to become the bottleneck? Are they going to become bottlenecks? So we need to equip them with tools that has to do with critical thinking. We need to equip them with reasoning. We need to actually adapt to a new form of decision making that has to do with the AI era that we are living in. If we are serious about AI, it cannot be just an intellectual sort of thing that we just talk. We need to actually think it through across everything that we do. So we do that. Plus, when it comes to quality, it helps us at stage to look at the empirical evidence on how to intervene. We now have what we call Sharik, which is a platform that allows us and gives us the visibility across the board for government services in Qatar in real time to understand if they went above the service level agreements, to understand if there are waiting lines in service centers, to understand if there are grievances about a certain service. And all this is done through machine learning, which allows us to actually just capitalize on the existing sorts of technology.
Okay, thank you so much. But by staying on the trending stuff, if I I'm allowed to use that word. With Mr. Raid, we talk about the AI. So I'll come to you, Mr. Isham, and talk about sustainability or climate change. While you were presenting, you mentioned the National Initiative Green Project from Egypt. And from the last COP27 and also the COP28, it has been mentioned as the most successful initiatives. Is there any link with the quality programs in Egypt?
Absolutely. The National Green Smart Initiative is an unprecedented initiative in COP27, 28. The UN said that it's one of the best initiatives that came out of COP process. And basically, it addresses climate. So when we hosted in Egypt COP27, we brought COP home, and we wanted to bring COP home to every house in Egypt, to every woman, every man, etc., not simply to hear about it. So the ordinary woman in Egypt in Asyut province says, okay, there's COP20, so what does it for me? We said, no, it means something for you. So we opened this initiative, we launched this initiative under the auspices of President Fattah al-Sisi, with the Prime Minister and Minister Hala Saeed and Dr. Mahmoud Muhyiddin, it was his idea, is to allow all Egyptians to present projects which are green and smart. And we defined what is green: alternative energy, clean energy, wind energy, solar energy, reduce emissions, etc. We defined what's smart, any kind of technology. And so because we believe these are the two tools of the future. You have to walk on two legs, one on the technology, one on climate. And we told them, give us projects, do not give us ideas. If there are intellectual ideas for universities, okay, they're very good, keep them there. But if you have a project which is on the ground, or you did a feasibility study, or it's functioning, etc., present it on the internet. No need to go to governments, no bureaucracy, nothing. This is where the excellence is. Everything is done online. So a woman in northern Sinai would sit there and says, I have a project which cleans the water from oils through a certain kind of organic plant, al-ratrit in Arabic. And she won. And she never believed that she would be honored by the governor, by the prime minister, given financial prizes around 750,000 pounds, then connected to different institutions and finances and investors, etc. So this is an initiative that opened the door, in which actually we received in the last 2 years, because we've done it twice, 12,000 projects. And then we took the best of these 12,000 projects, and we invited them to COP to showcase their story to the world in Dubai, and before that in Sharm el-Sheikh. And we've been able to say, okay, they said, we presented the projects, how are you going to help us? I said, thank you very much. I'm going to network you, I'm going to connect you to different financial institutions. So the European Bank, for example, adopted 6 projects. The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization in Rome, took 3 projects. UNDP took some projects, etc., etc., etc. So this is another change in mindset. What we're talking about in this session is a culture of excellence, a culture of change. And then how you embrace change and how you change adversity into opportunity. Climate is an adversity. It's a problem. To be able to change it into opportunity through using organic materials or nature, or using material less of that and less emissions and making into profit, that's the achievement. Same with excellence. So all these are part of changing people's mindsets. And that's the important thing. It's not just another initiative, no, but people helping them to change, enabler. Or we're talking also another golden word that we always use, enabler. That the government, through the mechanism and the tools it presents, is an enabler of change. I enable you through intellectual property, through excellence, through climate, through initiatives, to you to be able to access, to go to use that escalator that goes up and up and up, so that you can go and see how you can do your fortune. So that is basically that green initiative, which encourages people to think of new ways of sustainability. Of course, you have all the SDGs 17 inculcated in this Green Smart initiative, and we are proud that we've been able to reach 18 million people in 2 years. 18 million Egyptians are aware now of something called the Green Smart initiative, and are aware of the culture of green and smart and the way and how it affects our planet, but more importantly, to use it to your advantage. And I think this is the socio-economic effect of this, which is very important to societies.
Thank you. And to stay on the sustainability subject, Mr. Raid, last August 2023, His Highness the Amir Sheikh Tamim established the Qatar Government Excellence Award. What is the place of sustainability in this award?
I mean, we looked into 4 different areas within that award. We haven't just adapted one of the global models. I think this is one of the lessons learned, that you need to customize to your own needs. It's an evolutionary process. It's just what His Excellency the Ambassador said. It's a journey, not a destination. So you tweak the model as you go along. And one of the things that we look into are basically the resources of the organizations, the operations of the organization, and we look at the impact and the leadership in terms of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. So resources and their sustainability is definitely an area that is given its weight in the 38 indices that are looked at. We pay attention to sustainability both from a longevity when it comes to practices and frameworks. We look at the best utilization of resources as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And also, you said that we have to customize.
Yep.
Because, for example, if I take my example, I'm from Senegal, West Africa. I study in Japan.
日本語話せますか？
はい、ちょっと。
そうですね。
おー、
すごい。
すごいよ。
はじめまして。
ペラペラみんなさん。
おー、
私は日本語。よろしくお願いします。全然知らなかった。10年よ日本で。
お、本当ですか？
日本は日本語の本ありますよ。
日本語ちょっと
そうですね。
そうですね。
素晴らしい。
素晴らしい。はじめまして。はじめまして。
ラッキーですね。
はい、ラッキーです。Oh, sorry, we will not continue in Japanese. Sorry.
This is a coincidence.
Yes.
Impossible.
And we made it happen. So that was a wow effect. And everything that we want to do in the public sector, you've been wowed. The probabilities of us all speaking Japanese, coming from different backgrounds, is really minute, but it wowed you. Life is full of surprises, and we hope that all of our governments and the public sector are able to excel and provide you with that wow effect, even if it was through AI or thank you and please, thank you.
Thank you. I want to tell you something on that. I lived in Tokyo in Japan 10 years.
Okay.
I was cultural counselor there in 1985. Then I was ambassador to Japan over 20 years ago, in 2003. But when I first went to Japan in 1985, I was struck by a book written by the head of Sony, Morita, Akio Morita. He wrote a book called Education Begins at Zero. This was for me the beginning of excellence. He said, if you have a child which is handicapped or not fully, what do? You give him from zero education, try to give him better education, because you have to treat that. He says, why don't we create the super children? That education begins while the child is in his mother's tummy, through listening to certain kinds of music, through certain exercises. And the moment he comes in, we educate him. That is excellence. That's when we're talking about, I'm sure that you're familiar with that, with your experience in your perfect Japanese.
Yeah.
This is something that has always struck what is to be done. You know, the Japanese, this has to be done. This is excellence, a code of conduct.
Yeah.
And if we can take this, is that to teach them from zero, it was always something that I'm sure that with you must have lived both in Japan and carry it with you.
Thank you.
Actually, I was in Nagoya, the city of Toyota, and they are the one that introduced the Kaizen model,
Of course.
which is the continuous improvement on a
Quality.
daily basis. So if we associate it to the culture of excellence, we can all assume that the return on investment in quality program is the ongoing recognition of excellence. Thank
And where
you.
did you get your Japanese?
I self-taught myself.
No, you didn't go to Japan?
Nope. I've only been there once. And the problem was always is that
With
I had
such
to,
an accent?
and I
You
had
must have
to,
been an excellent teacher.
well, I mean,
MashaAllah.
that was the beauty of the technology. We are very lucky to live in the age that we live in, where knowledge is there for you to quench it, to actually capitalize it. Whatever expertise that you are looking for, there are some people that are more than driven to teach you online.
MashaAllah.
There are platforms that do so. So, you know, do that even in our professional lives as well. Thank you.
10
Yes,
years.
sir.
Thank you, everyone.
10 years.
Thank you.